Ultima Online first launched in 1997. It was a revolutionary MMO at the time, a sandbox experience where you grinded up skills, engaged in PvP and PvE in a truly hardcore world where even the NPCs would loot your body. And now, 27 years later, well, they're getting rid of all of that and turning into a theme park. Kind of. Ultima Online promised a new server 4 years ago and then went pretty silent on it. To say this game moves slowly may be a bit of an understatement, but Ultima Online remains MMORPG royalty as one of the very first MMOs ever made, and the first Western MMO to breach over 100,000 concurrent players back when those players were actually mostly on dial-up internet. Since the announcement 4 years ago, it sounds like New Legacy has been refined a bit. When it was first announced, it sounded like a bit of a server refresh, not really all that different. Now it sounds like 27 years after launch, we'll actually be getting something a bit more, something really interesting, something different. This is not a progression server like EverQuest. This isn't classic World of Warcraft. In fact, it's probably a bit more like Season of Discovery. Ultima Online New Legacy will have a new rule set, UI additions, quests. Yes, you heard that right, quests in Ultima Online. And they're very, very important quests. In fact, there's gonna be a story. This might actually be paying a lot more homage to the roots of Ultima Online, the RPG roots, because if you didn't know, Ultima Online is actually the continuation of a huge at the time RPG series called Ultima. A series that none other than Sven Vinke of Larian Studios put up as one of the IPs that he really wanted to make. So perhaps, you know, maybe Broadsword just beat them to it and this is the version. We'll get into why here, because this feels a lot more RPG than we might be used to with Ultima Online. They will also have an achievement log, of course PvP, revamped housing, skill building through questing instead of grinding, and they're aiming to release it by September of 2024, just in time for the 27th anniversary of the MMO. This is not your parents' or grandparents' Ultima Online from the sound of it. It's going to have a lot more of that RPG part of it from the Ultima games. Even the world lore is different from what Ultima Online was. The opening of the trailer, after all, in short order, says that the world is different.
Let me take you on a journey through Ultima Online New Legacy, our new shard emphasizing a classic Ultima RPG experience. The world is different. In this Caesarea, Mondain was defeated, but the realm never united around a king, leaving the lands fractured, dangerous. You emerge through the strange moon gate and are drawn towards a friendly bard. Your first choice is, what will your house name be? But choose wisely. Your house name will persist with all your characters in New Legacy.
Perhaps the most interesting part of this new server is that you won't be grinding your skills. Instead, it sounds like you'll be doing milestone quests. Those milestone quests raise your skills. Quests as well as a main storyline appear key to the advancement of this new version of Ultima Online, a true Ultima RPG experience. And while I'm sad that I won't be getting those dopamine hits from grinding NPCs like the 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, I'm still excited to see what this is. I'm interested to see how this will play out with Ultima Online using quests for advancement. It could be a new take on a game that might actually be a whole hell of a lot of fun, especially for new players. I'm thankful, of course, that this is a special shard and not a change across the entire game though. So basically, like my little intro, my hook at the beginning, it was not, they're changing this shard. Ultima Online itself is still the sandbox it always was, but this shard is a theme park. At least that's how it's being sold. As I watched the trailer of New Legacy, I was surprised to find that I was actually more interested in jumping in this version than I thought I would be. I have some concerns, of course, because, well, it's new and change is fucking scary, especially when exploration was so key to the enjoyment of old Ultima. Not being on rails, just going out and exploring and dying a lot, finding a random orc fort or stumbling across a dungeon. And I hope some of that is maintained. I hope some of that spirit of the game is maintained. I hope that Ultima Online New Legacy leans into expansions as well, with quests out in the world if they were to have skills locked behind milestones. But it's also important to note that while milestone quests seem to be the way to raise your skills, it's not like that's the only thing to do in the game. There's plenty of other reasons to go out and explore, like finding loot, lots and lots of loot. They even brought back some of the coolest parts of old Ultima, like item IDing magic weapons to find out that holy shit, you just got a weapon of vanquishing, or a silver weapon of vanquishing, and now you can go destroy some faces in PvE or PvP, because they have actually expanded the PvP system as well, including guild PvP. But naturally, it wouldn't be Ultima Online if the only way to progress was through fighting. Crafting is deeply important too, with what sounds like an equally fleshed out experience for a crafter as a fighter. In fact, they even have a resource bank, noting that harvesting and crafting is fast and fun in the trailer. It remains to be seen how fast and fun that is, because it took a long time to get very high up in crafting in the original Ultima Online. So fast to them may still be slow to some. But through it all, your deeds will be recorded in a journal, all the different things you've completed and achieved throughout your new legacy. It reminds me a bit of some other games that recorded your deeds, but more accurately, perhaps it reminds me the most of the prestige the game had with titles in old Ultima Online like Glorious Lord or Lady and the Honorable, or the Dastardly. Perhaps one of the coolest things we saw in the trailer though was seasons, showing the same area going through different seasons, visually changing from verdant green to beautiful fall colors, and finally, snow, with the promise that each season will bring different things in the game that will open up. It also hints as making your legacy before time runs out. I don't know exactly what that means, though you do pick a family name at the very beginning of the shard.
Your first choice is, what will your house name be? But choose wisely. Your house name will persist with all your characters in New Legacy. This quest did conquered and had a ton of classic Ultima fun, but will it be enough to forge his legacy before time runs out?
Perhaps this refers to your character aging. I'm honestly not sure what this means. It's hopefully something we'll get more details on in the future, but it still sounds interesting enough. There's some tantalizing clues here. Whatever the case, I can't tell you just how thrilled I am to see that an MMO that is 27 years old this year, and the first MMO that I personally ever played, is getting something new, an entirely different thing. Even if in doing so, Broadsword might kind of be making me eat my own damn words, because I kind of said in a not so flattering way that Broadsword was essentially the place where MMOs go to be in maintenance mode. Not die. They're very good at maintaining, but they're kind of proving me wrong here, aren't they? Now you're gonna have Ultima Online New Legacy, an entirely different way to play the game that is 27 years old, and you also have Star Wars The Old Republic, which moved over from EA to Broadsword just last year and has basically maintained the same kind of cadence. So it sounds like Broadsword might be more than I expected them, and that makes me really freaking happy, because I especially love when you see smaller studios like this, like Broadsword, because they're a pretty small studio, even with the addition of Star Wars The Old Republic and the, I believe, 40 or so people that they brought over. Still a pretty small studio. So I like seeing them being able to do stuff like this that's just really cool and gives people something new to play if they want to. What do you think though? Is this too far removed from what you experienced with Ultima Online? Or are you perhaps really excited because you actually loved the Ultima RPGs and you want to see what would that be like with this quest focus, this main story focus that is existing in this game, in this new version? Will you try it out? I sure as hell am going to. I'm going to try it out because I want to see what it's all about and see if I can really get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And if it's in a more timely fashion than say sticking around with Ultima Online. Let us know in the comment section below, what do you think about this, whether you like it, you hate it, or if you're just kind of indifferent to it. Thank you so much for watching, and a special thank you to the supporters of the channel on members as well as Patreon. On the Patreon, if you want to avoid ads and stuff like that, I do post these same videos over there, not just for this channel, but also the RPG channel. Speaking of RPGs, let's go, like, you know what? Let's talk about how Larian actually almost made the next Ultima. Not Ultima Online, but the next Ultima RPG. You can see that in that video right there.